So I'm in Mount Vernon. This is the town I grew up in, about an hour and a half outside of Savannah. I'm at my mom's house right now. She's not here. This is one of the houses I grew up in. The other house I grew up in was my grandparents' house. And that house sits on the city line right between Mount Vernon and Haley. There's a college on one side and a high school on the other. I went to both of them. I found out a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months, I don't know how long I've known, I found out that they are planning on building a new high school. They're going to build it directly across the street from the college. On my grandma's house. And they're going to tear down the house. They've already started on it. So I came back to say goodbye. I remember when my grandparents died and the decision was made to sell the house, how upset I was. I wanted to keep the house in the family. Even if we couldn't live there, I wanted to keep it. And I said that someday I would grow up and I would buy the house. And I never did. I know rationally I never could have bought it and done the work that it needed done in order to restore it to its former glory and have it inhabitable. But it was still my house. It's my home. And now I have to say goodbye.
I did not sleep well at all last night. Well, first I stayed up really late reading comic books because that's a perfectly rational thing for a grown woman to do. Then, when I was finally too tired to stay awake and keep reading, I finally called it a night and laid down and tried to go to sleep, and I just couldn't. I was very anxious, very nervous about all of this. Then around 4:30 or 5, a neighborhood dog decided that it wanted to die outside of my window. It didn't actually, but it sounded like it was, and that inhibited my ability to sleep well. I hate vlogging. I hate walking around holding a camera in front of me talking because it just looks stupid. I've seen people do it before, and when I first saw someone doing it, I was like, oh god, that's awful, I'm never going to do that again. And yet here I am doing it in the middle of town. But it's 7:15 in the morning, so hopefully nobody will see me. I am out here an hour later than I wanted to, because by the time I did finally fall asleep, I wanted to stay there. And part of me was like, I'm good with just my memories. I don't have to go back. But that's just the sleep deprivation talking. I have to go back. I have to do this. Where we are now is this whole row of historic houses on the strip between Mount Vernon and Ailey. This house, I want to say my family used to own. I've always really liked old houses and the architecture associated with them and everything. Most of these houses are now owned by the college. this is Grandma's house. See straight through from one end to the other. Used to, we would get the mail here. I would ride up here with Grandpa on his golf cart, and we would take this trip down this row right here. There were bushes on either side. Grandma had all of these big azalea bushes, and they were so beautiful. So this is the driveway, and Grandpa had a bell service. There was a thing, if you drove over it, it would ring the bell, and he would know that he had people here in the yard, because he did business and he sold batteries. Grandma had her whole garden out here. It was like stacks of stuff. He had warehouses all over here with all the stuff that he sold, battery parts, batteries, all kinds of stuff. And it was a place where he took pecans there, and I remember that there would be some unscrupulous people who would come through selling pecans, and they would alter the weight of the pecans by putting rocks in the bottom. But even though Grandpa knew that they were lying, he still let them. I remember this carport thing here. My stepdad had some sort of a seesaw put in for me here. This was my whole play area. I would play under here all the time. There was a well, not really like a jungle gym, but just like a little climbing thing, and the dog had his igloo back here. Wow, you can see all the way to the high school. An old 29 building, built in 1929. This was the field. Grandpa grew sunflowers back here, and I had a little plot with cherry tomatoes here. There were trees all the way around. You could not see through this at all. We had my horse back here, and if anyone has heard about my my one supernatural experience, this is where that happened. I remember the horse poop pile was right there, where all that nice foliage is grown, because, you know, that's what happens when you have good fertilizer. I kind of thought that I would be more emotional being here. I was really scared about that. That was part of why I was scared about coming, because I didn't want to feel all that emotional again. But I want to look at the house. I want to go in. This was the back way. We rarely ever came through here. Oh, okay, this was Great Grandma's room. There was, I remember there being like a hallway here in this spot. This was the porch. We had rocking chairs here. We would sit out here and snap peas for hours. This was Great Grandma's room. I don't remember this tile floor being here, but after she moved out, she lived her final years in the hospital. This essentially became a storage room. Oh shit, I gotta go fast. Okay, I remember this. This was Grandma and Grandpa's room. Grandpa was there, Grandma was here. There was a bathroom right here. I guess that's a closet. I remember taking stand-up showers in here because it was the only one that had a stand-up shower. This was the bathroom. Oh gosh, it's exactly as I remember, only dirtier. Oh shit, this was the living room. Grandpa had his chair over there, and there was the couch. That was the non-working fireplace. She had them all closed off. There was no central, there was just gas and little gas places, and we had the TV there. Oh gosh. I remember tending to flowers out here. There was the washer and dryer area. Here's the kitchen. There's the pantry. I used to play in there. Oh wow. I don't remember it being yellow. I remember it being so big. It just felt so big when I was a kid. Everything felt so big. Wow. Remember this hallway? This was my mom's room. Wow, this was the room we would stay in when we came to visit. This was the dining room. This is where Grandma would put out her sewing projects. I wasn't allowed in there, and there was a pass-through to the kitchen right there. This was the nice part of the house. No one ever came up here. This was the front room. This is where Grandma had her custom drapery, and another one of the fireplaces, and she had all of her furniture was here. And my mom now has all of that furniture, but the custom drapery we left. And this was the two older girls' room. This was my room. This was my room. Wow. This was the front porch. We had a wheelchair ramp here for when great-grandma would come back and visit sometimes. That was my home. But that's not the home I remember. And I'm okay with that, because now I can let go. Grandma didn't want her house to sit there vacant forever. And that is what has happened to a lot of those houses over there. They got bought by Bruton Parker, and they have sat there vacant for years. That's what happened to Miss Wheeler's house. That's what happened to whatever the Briscoe was before it was the Briscoe, but fortunately that got turned into something. The house on the other end that I thought would have made an awesome sorority house, that nothing ever happened with that. A house a couple doors down from there friggin' burned to the ground. She didn't want the house to sit vacant, and it didn't. Families came there, other families lived there. They had good times there. And I think that would have made her happy to know that someone else was enjoying the house that she loved so much. And Grandma taught school. She was a substitute teacher, raised 4 daughters, 3 of whom became teachers. The sun is just so bright that I can't even see what is going on here. Education was important to her, and it was important to Grandpa too. And I think they would be happy knowing that their land, their home, they're gonna build a new school there. I think they'd be okay with that.